My name is Kaylani Tomlin, and you are watching Twin Network. This is a public service announcement for all teens. In this age of technology, we face a new and serious addiction: cell phone addiction. There are over 3.8 billion smartphone users in the world, and within that population, 6.3% have a phone addiction. First, let's start with some basic understanding of this addiction. Cell phone addiction is also referred to as online addiction and is classified as a behavioral addiction. This addiction is understood as non-phobia, which is the fear of being without a mobile device, such as your cell phone. This addiction can also lead to other addictions like social media and gaming. According to the Addiction Center, a scholarly journal published by the National Library of Medicine reports that 6.3% of the overall population is addicted to their smartphone. This pattern of abuse is greatest among those under 30 years of age, with an average of 16% of adolescents addicted to their phones. From that statistic, we can garner that the most likely impacted by cell phone addiction is teens and young adults. In Verizon.com's article, What is Cell Phone Addiction and How Can You Prevent It?, they state that according to a study published in the Frontiers of Psychiatry, adolescents 20 years and under are more likely to experience cell phone addiction and behavioral problems. Later in the article, they go on to say about 20% of smartphone users between 11 and 14 years of age never put their phones down, even to sleep. This shows how fast addiction can get its grasp on you. Now, you may be asking, what causes this? And basically, in your brain, there's a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is basically the happy chemical, and it allows you to feel pleasure from activities. Dopamine gets released into your brain and tells your brain, hey, this action was very fun, let's remember it and do it again sometimes. Then, as you can see, you do the action again, dopamine gets released back in, and you keep on doing the action because it's making you happy. However, this is actually could be a bad thing, because if you're constantly doing an action that is harmful for you, it leads to addiction, like cell phone addiction. Cell phone addiction elevates your dopamine levels, which makes you so bad want to do something, even more than usual. Now, here are some signs and symptoms that you might be addicted to your phone. If your loved one is ever expressing concern about something you're doing, then 9 times out of 10, there's probably something wrong and you need to fix it. Next is a tolerance increase. You seem to be spending more and more time on your phone to the point where it's harmful. Harmful could be your sleep is being disrupted, or your schedule is being disrupted, like your school, getting up for school in the morning, going to work. You could have lack of concentration or lack of connection to the real world, or you could experience phantom vibrations, which is when you think your phone's going off when it's actually not. You also could be lying about your smartphone use. You could have a fear of missing out, feel isolation. You could feel like you're losing time by being on your phone. Like if you're like, oh my gosh, it was just 3 and now it's 8 o'clock in the afternoon, or something like that. You're losing time. You can feel angry or irritated when someone tells you to get off your phone, or you could have a lacking social life, like your social life isn't what it used to be. And finally, reaching to your phone whenever you're bored instead of thinking, oh, maybe I could go for a walk, maybe I could draw, maybe I could exercise. Going straight for your phone can be a sign of addiction as well. If you are concerned about any of these signs or symptoms, please talk to your medical health care provider. Some effects of cell phone addiction are sleep deficiency, anxiety, stress, insecurity, heightened psychological disorders, or the development of psychological disorders like depression or anxiety. It can cause you to develop virtual relationships or online addictions like gambling or gaming. It also increases the risk of car accidents. In fact, according to a study done by the National Highway Traffic Administration and found in Verizon.com's article, 2.9% of drivers use handheld devices while driving, and over in 2018, over 400,000 people were injured in accidents with people who were on their phones driving. And along with that, 2,841 people were killed due to distracted driving accidents, usually by cell phones. All these are very serious, and it just shows you how important it is to know about the severity of this addiction. So, how are you diagnosed? Well, according to the signs and symptoms that I've told you, you can do a self-assessment, but that isn't vindicative of if you actually have this addiction or not. In fact, the signs and symptoms and self-assessments are just there so you can go to your healthcare provider and let them know, hey, I think I might have this addiction. The only way to get a diagnosis is by going to a medical professional and they can diagnose. Here's a provided list of different treatment options that would be available for someone with a cell phone addiction. Helpguide.org states these as tips to help you prevent yourself from developing a cell phone addiction. Some I want to focus on are, you should learn different coping mechanisms. Your phone doesn't have to be your only coping mechanism. Also, finding other activities to do when you're bored instead of just playing on your phone can be a good way to prevent. You can limit the amount of times you pick up and pick up and pick up to check your phone. You can also, like I said, replace your smartphone for healthier options. You can turn off your phone during certain times of the day. You could set an alarm on your phone to be for like 3 hours and be like, I'm going to dedicate 3 hours to doing something else, like studying, going for a walk, cooking even. Also, set goals for yourself of when you can have your cell phone. Make it a reward instead of making it your only form of a reward system. Be like, oh, if I do the dishes for 2 days in a row, then I'll get my phone for an hour. Stuff like that can be helpful ways to help you from developing a phone addiction. Here are some links of different supports you can go to help anyone you know or yourself with a cell phone addiction. Online therapy and in-person therapy are both great forms of therapy, and I suggest you research those to look into which one might be better for you. I tend to say if you're very shy or don't want to be in person in front of someone, choose online therapy, and vice versa for in-person therapy. Please look for support groups to help you with the different addictions you might have, as they can be a good way to help build support system and community. And remember, by learning these ways of prevention, by learning the signs, symptoms, and causes, we can better help ourselves and others avoid addiction. Thanks for listening, and please remember to take all addiction seriously for the sake of yourself and others. Thank you.